Hello everyone, welcome back again. Today we'll discuss about AD integration with ServiceNow. So this is very common thing, especially while implementing some greenfield ServiceNow implementations. So it is the base practice, not the best one, the best practice to retrieve the user from the AD. So that is how generally organizations do. So I feel it will be useful for many of the developers and admins who is working on ServiceNow to learn about integrating AD with ServiceNow using LDAP. So it is pretty simple and straightforward in ServiceNow. Let's dive into it. Let me go to the instance. So once you are in your instance, you can just search for LDAP. So when you search for LDAP, under system LDAP, you can see there are different modules. So just click on create new server. So here it will ask you for different details, like the first one is type of LDAP server. Let's keep it as same Active Directory. And then the server name, it is nothing but any user friendly name, like so maybe your NetBIOS name or something like that, whatever you wish. And then the server URL, here you can give your server's FQD, that is fully qualified domain name, or you can even use the IP address. So in my case it is 10.0.0.5 and the starting search directory. So I am going to search in the default directory only. So this equal to the geek console and this equal to com. That's it. Now once it is done, we need to enter the login distinguished name and login password and the mid server also, because ServiceNow is residing at cloud but our AD server is in the on-premises. So then to allow access to interact with our AD server, it has to come through the mid server only. So before adding these details, let me stop the listener first. Just click on the stop listener in the related links at the bottom of the LDAP server that is just configured. Now enter your username. Here I'm using my account only. So here you generally use your UPN, and this account should have access to AD, at least the read access. And then you need to enter the mid server. Just select the mid server and save it. So once saved, we need to test the connection. To test the connection, just click on this test connection. Okay, so here you can see the connection is being tested. Yes, it is successful. Connection is successful. So now we are ready to use this AD server. If we have redundant domain controllers or AD servers, you can you can enter all those URLs here. For example, if one fails, the other one will be active, like that. And then, so if you see, the ServiceNow has created the default OU definitions for you. So for both groups and users. So let's look at the users first. When you click on the users, so here you can see the OU definition. So uh, RDN is nothing but remote directory name, that is nothing but CN equal to users. So it is, we are instructing this to look for the users in users command name, and the query field will be SAM account name, that is nothing but the pre WK 20 name, pre W2K name. It is pre W2K name, yeah. So here, then as you see, the data source is also created. But before going further, let's test this here. Here if you see, there is a filter. The filter is nothing but object class is person and SN is not empty, that is surname is not empty, that is last name is not empty. And then object class should not be computer, because in our Active Directory you can even store the computers as objects. So we want only persons here. That is why this filter is being given. And this user account control says that only retrieve the active users. Okay, so that is what this filter means. If you want to further modify this filter, you can just update this one. This is nothing but LDAP filters. Okay, and then if you want test connection at this OE level, OE definition level also, you can just test it. If you just click on test connection, see it's successful. And even if you want to see browse before going further, if you want to see what data is there, you can just click on browse. So this is it. And here if you click on this expand button in the LDAP nodes, see you can see the users already. Yeah, they are Avengers. Like, I'm a big fan of Marvel, so I'm using them. Yeah. And then we can go further. Next thing is data source. Here you can see the data source is already created for us by ServiceNow whenever you created the LDAP server. It's LDAP server. So it is the import set table name. It is created by this. It is available out of the box. This import set table LDAP import, and the data source type is LDAP. Okay, and LDAP target is users table. That is nothing but our users table. So here the transform map is already created. Even you can, if you want, you can just look into this transform map. But before that, if you want to test whether the records are getting loaded or not, you can just click on this test load records. Test load 20 records. So now it is contacting the AD server via mid server. Let's wait for the process to complete. Yeah, it's complete. If you want to see how much of data is loaded, what is the data, what the data is loaded, you can see this is the data. Okay. If you want to open any one single row, see it retrieved every detail about that particular user. Okay. So now let's go back. To our LDAP data sources. So we have many. Let's take the last updated one. Users. We're just looking at the users. So these are the users. This is the users data source. Now we have this transform map. Let's look into this transform map. What is there? So these are. So this is to map the manager, users manager. This is nothing but the LDAP server. So in the user table we have this LDAP server as a field. So it is setting that LDAP server. Yeah. So if you just look at the field map, at the moment it is just loading these fields. But if you want, you can load further. Okay. So at the moment it is loading the username. That is nothing but the SAM account name from AD. That is mapped to the username field in ServiceNow user table. Similarly, user principal name, it is mapped to email, but sometimes it is not correct. Sometimes user principal names will be different and the email will be a different one. So in that case, you can even remove this and remap it. Okay. For example, let's see. If I want to remap, you can just click on it. So let's see if the email field is already available. Yeah, it is there. Mail. You can update like that. Simple. And even if you want for the details to be loaded, you can do that by clicking on the new one. So you can map other fields to the ServiceNow target records. Like for example, if you want to like mobile number, etc., you can do that one. Okay. So mail is mapped, location is mapped, source, that is not AD, that is a source AD server, that is not a distinguishing name. Given name is nothing but the first name, SN is nothing but surname, that is last name, title is nothing but it's like a designation kind of thing. So the field mapping is already present, and there are some transforms scripts also. So these are all out of the box, which is ready-madely given by ServiceNow. Until unless your organization have specific requirements, you don't have to what you call modify this out of the box one. Okay, otherwise you need to modify these scripts. Okay, so here it is like simple. If the value is 2, that means the user is disabled. That's it. Okay, so then we'll set the user record to active false and lockout to true. So it will not be inserted, it will just be updated. So that is what it says. And so this is just the LDAP utils being initialized. Once on-complete script is there, it will just handle the managers. Once the users are loaded, then it will on-complete script will invoke and it will map the managers. Okay, so this is what it typically means. So once, yeah, we'll see how we can retrieve the data and store this data into ServiceNow. So we can do this manually by loading the records and transforming them. Otherwise, you can just create an LDAP schedule which will take care of it. Okay. So for now, similarly, we look at groups also. So if you see, this is the groups. Let's see the OU definition for groups also. So if you see the filter, object class is group. Simple, right? So if you want to browse what are the groups that are available, so you can just click on the browse button. And see, just click on this LDAP nodes, expand this LDAP nodes. If there is data available, it will just display the groups. Yeah, the data is there. Okay, so this is how you can see them. And if you want to enable some filters, you can enable those filters. Okay, let's go back. Now, it's similarly, if you see the data source for groups, LDAP group import is the import set table, and you have the transform map already available out of the box. If you want, you can customize this further. So field having this, the SAM account name will be set as the group name and description will be set as group name, and source is nothing but the LDAP source. And remember, in ServiceNow out of the box there is no field called user principal name. Okay, if you want, you need to create a custom field. Okay, now let's create schedules, LDAP schedules. Schedule loads, you see here under system LDAP you can see schedule loads. Just click on the schedule loads. So if you see, the system has created the schedule loads also for you whenever you created the AD server, sorry, LDAP server. So if you look at the users import, it is already there, but it just like that it is not enabled. Sorry, it is not active. That's it. So you just need to make this active. And here if you see, it is running daily. But if you want to make it periodical, you can make it periodically, something like that. Okay, so if you want to make it once, you can make it once. So it's going to be daily for now, and just make this active so that it will run daily. And if you can mention the time also, at what time it needs to run. Okay, so maybe midnight, 12 a.m. or 2 a.m. or anything. And if you select periodically, it lasts at what intervals you want to repeat this one. Maybe if you want to run every 6 hours, just make it 6 hours, and you can select the starting from. Okay, so like this you can do this. This is like simple like schedule job kind of thing. Okay, now we are done in setting up this one. We made this active and select periodical and made it every 6 hours. Now just save it and execute this one. Okay, so once you execute, so if you want to check the logs anytime, like for example, if you see something is not working, you can check the schedule data import logs also. Just open the schedule data import log, and in the log you can see the executions here. Okay, So in the executions, you can see it is just already run because we have clicked the execute now button, right? So it ran. Now if I go to import set, yeah, I see the import set run is completed. It inserted, it got total 7 records and it inserted 7 records, right? So that is how it works. It's just pretty straightforward. Okay, and if you want to see the users, you can see them like, no, not here. Just go back. In the import set rows itself, you can see the row number and the target record, that is created. We just open, for example, Tony. So the username is nothing but the same account name, first name, last name, and the email is there. Yeah, that is how it works. Okay, but if you want to just look at the data that is fetched from the AD server, you can just click on that one. You can see the data. So here you can see for the data like mobile number, right? So you can use this mobile. Okay, you can map this mobile to the ServiceNow user record. Okay, if you want, we can check that once. Let's do that. Go to the transform maps. So users. Here, let's create new mapping. And the source field is what? Mobile. And the target field, like, you can use mobile phone. But if it is a business phone, you can even use business phone also. Okay, submit. So once submitted, you can just again go back to the schedule loads. Just click on the users input and execute now. Again, it will get the data afresh. But if you want to use the existing import set as it is already available, you can do that also. But for now, I'll just execute. And again, go back to this one. Schedule data import. And if you just scroll down, you can see the second execution is there. So it is the import set. So these also run completely. And if you see, total 7 records it updated 2 records only. Maybe the other people doesn't have the mobile number available. So if you want to see the rows, if you just see these rows, these are the updated records. Bruce Banner record is updated. So it has the business phone. Like this you can map. And you might ask me like, so there is a field called source. So you see there is source, right? It is mapped to source. If you just show XML the user record, you can find that field source. This is nothing but the source. This is the LDAP record. Okay. So, but this is not complete. So that means there is an issue with the import set table. Maybe the field name, field length is not sufficient. We can check that. So how to check that one? So if you want to check that, you see right, the source table is LDAP import, right? Otherwise, you can just LDAP underscore import that config. So you see dictionary entries is there. Now we are looking for the source, right? Let's, yeah, this is the source field. So the length is set as 40. So that might be the issue. So for example, I mean, let me make it like 200 for say. Save it. And let's rerun the job. Okay. So because it will not work with existing import set, because existing import set will have the truncated data. So we need to get the data fresh. So just go to the schedule lab, schedule loads, and again click on the execute now. So if you go to the schedule data log, so there is the third execution is there. This is just now, and you can see all the records got updated. See, that is the reason, right? So let's check the Bruce record itself, the big guy. Show XML. See, now it is complete. It is complete distinguished name. Okay. So this is the source field. If you want UPN, you need to use the UPN. Okay. So let's look at the groups also. How it is. Schedule loads, groups import. It is not active. Let's make this active. Let's run this daily. Let's keep it as is. Save this. And let's try to execute now. Go to the groups job, see the execution. There is an execution already. Just check the those. Oh, we got 26 groups and all the groups are inserted. This is not good thing actually. We need to filter. So we need to filter the apply the filter and only import those groups only. It is maybe this is not the good one, but for just for the practice purpose we are doing it. If I go to ServiceNow users, this is the group. Okay. So to ServiceNow admins, yeah. Even if you see here also, if you just show XML, it will be source will be there. So here also the same problem. So the problem is there for this record also. In this is LDAP group import table, import set table. So if you see the source, so see the source is truncated. That means if you just check the field length, it's not right? It is 40. We need to increase that. So if you see in your real-time implementations, if you see this missing data, truncated data, then you need to check the import set table field length, okay, corresponding field length. So there you can find the reason for this one. Okay. So even if you see the distinguished name is also not correct, it is also truncated. So if you just look at it, it is also 40. So that is the reason. So you need to change them. Let me change. So it will be, just go to the configure dictionary, just increase the length, maybe 100, 200, depends upon your data in AD. Okay. And this member of is very important. I'll tell you why this is important. So not at the group level, we at the users table, users LDAP. Let's see the LDAP import. This is the table name. This is the table name for, see, there should be a member of thing. The manager is also not correct. We need to fix all these things. Manager is also broken. You see, the Tony Stark has manager, but if you open Tony's record, let's add manager field to the form in the user table. So it is empty, it is not being set. Why? Because if you look at the import set table, in the import set table, manager field is coming, but it is also truncated. So at the end, it should have DC equal to com, but it is not there, right? So we need to fix these fields. So let's fix these and run the job again and see what happens. So this is also 40, manager field is also 40. Like we need to fix all these things. Okay. Configure dictionary. Let's make it 100. And again, so this member of also, this member of will give the user membership within the groups. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll just change this. This is also 40, but the member of will be not 40 always. We need to give this maximum length because the user can be member of any number of groups. So the maximum field length, I can give it as maybe 8000. Yeah, that is pretty long. So I think that is the maximum length allowed by ServiceNow for a field. Okay, and let's make the manager field also 100 characters. Even you can make it 200, like if there is not properly mapped. Okay, even DN also you can change. So this is very important step. If you miss this, the data will be not proper. Okay, while implementing the AD integration at the dev level itself, we need to check the integrity, data integrity, whether it is perfect or not. Okay, and then for groups also, let's make these changes. So for groups, it is LDAP group import. I think the import set table. Yeah, correct. Let's open any one of this one and see object category. This is also not right. So this data is also truncated. So this is the issue happens because by default the field length for string is 40. That is the issue. Okay, here. Let's make a couple of changes. Oh, sorry. Dictionary. Make it 100 characters. And even the member, let's make it 200. And the member of. Okay, because groups can also be nested groups. There will be nested groups, right? So here also the member of will be there. I will make this also as 8000 or 4000. Okay, so now we made a couple of changes to the import set table dictionary. Let's rerun the jobs. Okay, schedule loads. Let's load the groups. Execute now. see what happened. If you go to this schedule data import, see the execution. So see the execution happened just now. Open the execution record or the import set table record directly. So see, almost all the groups are updated. Why? Because the data that earlier it has, all these groups had the truncated data. So now they got the perfect data. Okay. So let's go to the users one also. Schedule loads, users import. Let's execute this again. Let's see the import set. It's completed. So a couple of the records got updated. Okay, even you see Tony Stark record is updated. Let's see what is updated. See, now the manager field is mapped like this. Okay. Yep, that is all I wanted to discuss in this LDAP integration. So if you have any queries or kind of comments kind of thing, you can just ping me in my LinkedIn, or you can drop a comment in this video. Thank you all. Have a great day.